Derek picked September. Not because anyone told him September was a good month to retire, not because he'd run the numbers. He picked September because that's when his daughter's kids were out of school, and he figured he'd drive up and surprise them on his first week of freedom. It's a lovely reason to pick a date. It cost him $9,182. Raymond picked January 3rd. He and Carol had talked about it on a Sunday afternoon in October, sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a notepad. It took about 2 hours. By the end of it, they had 4 dates from HR, a tax projection for the following year, and a retirement start date that lined up with every lever they could control. Nobody surprised any grandkids that January. But Raymond walked out of work with every dollar he'd earned still in his pocket. Same retirement, same age, same savings. The calendar was the only difference. Subscribe if you want to stick around. This is one of those things nobody ever explains. And it's going to change how you look at your own retirement date. Let me start with something that might surprise you. Most people pick a retirement date the same way Derek did, based on a birthday, a work anniversary, when the grandkids are visiting, and nobody ever sat them down and explained that the month itself is a financial decision. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to walk you through the 5 levers that your retirement date controls. And I want you to notice something. Not one of them is the stock market. You can't control the market. But every single one of these levers is sitting right there on your kitchen table, completely within your reach. The first lever is one the big financial channels almost never talk about: your employer. Here's what Derek didn't know when he chose September. His company's 401k match had a string attached to it. Like a lot of company plans, his employer only paid their full matching contribution if he was still employed on the last day of the calendar year. It's called a true up, and it's buried in the plan documents that almost nobody reads. Derek retired on September 12th. He had contributed to his 401k all year. He had done everything right, but because he walked out the door 3.5 months before December 31st, he forfeited $4,200 in employer match money he had already technically earned. He didn't find out until January, when he called HR to ask about something unrelated. The woman on the phone was apologetic. The money was gone. Raymond called HR in October before he set a date. He asked one simple question: when does the company match fully vest for the year? The answer was December 31st. He and Carol adjusted their plan. Raymond's last day of work was December 31st. He walked out the door that afternoon with every dollar of his match still intact. One phone call, one adjusted date, $4,200 that stayed in his account instead of disappearing into a plan document nobody warned him about. The second lever is your unused vacation and sick time. Most companies pay out unused time off as a lump sum in your final paycheck. It sounds like a nice bonus, and it is, unless the timing works against you. Derek retired on September 12th with 18 days of unused vacation. His company paid it out immediately. That payout, $6,847, landed on top of 8.5 months of his full salary. All of it counted as income in the same tax year. All of it got taxed at his highest bracket. Raymond retired on January 3rd with the same 18 days of unused vacation. His company paid it out in his first check of the new year. That $6,847 landed in a year where Raymond had no salary. Just that payout, some investment income, and a modest amount of interest. His effective tax rate on that money was significantly lower than Derek's. Same vacation payout, same dollar amount. Derek paid $1,847 more in federal taxes on it than Raymond did, just because of when it landed. This is what I mean when I say the month you retire talks directly to the IRS. The calendar year your income lands in is one of the most powerful financial decisions you'll make in your entire retirement. And most people never make it deliberately. The third lever, and this one quietly controls almost everything else, is the tax year itself. When you retire on January 1st or very early in the year, something powerful happens. Your first full year of retirement becomes what planners call a low income year. No salary, just some investment income, maybe a little interest, some modest dividends. And a low income year is an extraordinary opportunity. Raymond and Carol used their low income year to convert $47,000 from Raymond's traditional IRA into a Roth IRA. They paid tax on that conversion at a lower rate than they would have during Raymond's working years. That $47,000 now sitting in a Roth will grow completely tax-free for the rest of their lives. They'll never pay taxes on it again. In 2026, a married couple can have up to $98,900 of taxable income and pay 0% in federal taxes on their long-term capital gains. Zero. Raymond and Carol sold some appreciated investments that year and paid nothing on the gains. It was legal. It was completely available to them. And it was only available because they managed which year their income landed in. Derek, who retired in September, had no low-income year. His retirement year was a high-income year. Full salary for 8.5 months, plus the vacation payout, plus a small bonus his company paid in August. He had no window for Roth conversions at a low rate. He had no window for 0% capital gains. The window opened right after he walked through it for Raymond, because Raymond walked through a different door in January. The fourth lever is your health insurance. And this one gets precise because now the day of the month starts to matter. Here's the first thing to understand. Your employer health coverage almost always ends on the last day of your final month of work. If your next coverage, Medicare, a spouse's plan, or a marketplace plan doesn't start the very next day, you have a gap. And a gap in health coverage at retirement age is not a small thing. Derek retired September 12th. His employer coverage ended September 30th. His Medicare enrollment didn't kick in until November 1st. He had a 31-day gap. He bought a short-term policy to cover it. It cost him $847. Raymond retired January 3rd. His employer coverage ended January 31st. His Medicare Part B started February 1st. No gap, no short-term policy, no extra cost. But there's a second health insurance trap that's even more expensive, and almost no one sees it coming until it's too late. It's the deductible reset. Derek had a significant medical year. By September, he had already met his full deductible and out-of-pocket maximum on his work plan. He had paid $3,200 in deductibles and copays, and everything after that was covered completely. When he switched to a new plan in October, that new plan started his deductible at $0. He had a minor procedure in November that would have cost him nothing under his old plan. Under the new plan, he paid $1,140 out of pocket. Raymond had a similar medical year. He and Carol made a deliberate choice. They finished the year on Raymond's work plan, knowing his deductible was already met, and switched to Medicare on February 1st with a fresh plan a year ahead of them. They didn't pay any deductible twice. The fifth lever, and this is the one that reaches forward and surprises people, is Medicare premiums, specifically something called IRMAA, the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. It's a surcharge on your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums, and it's calculated based on your income from 2 years earlier. In 2026, the standard Medicare Part B premium is $202.90 a month. But if your income from 2024 crossed certain thresholds, you pay significantly more. For a married couple, that first threshold sits at $218,000. Cross it by even $1, and both of you pay a surcharge on your premiums, over $1,000 a year each. Derek's 2024 income. His final full year of work included a strong salary, a year-end bonus of $14,000, and some investment gains he took that December. His 2024 income came to $231,400. He crossed the IRMAA threshold. In 2026, 2 years later, he paid $1,148 more in Medicare premiums than the standard rate. Raymond and Carol managed their 2024 income carefully. They deferred some investment sales into January 2025, when Raymond's income would be lower. Their 2024 income came to $197,300. They stayed below the IRMAA threshold. Their 2026 Medicare premiums were standard. This is the part that catches people completely off guard. The income you earn in your final working year doesn't just affect your taxes that April. It reaches forward 2 years and affects your Medicare bill. A sloppy final year doesn't just cost you once, it follows you. So let me bring it together simply. Before you set a retirement date, before you pick any month, any season, any year, you need 4 numbers from your HR department. Number 1, the exact date your health insurance ends. Number 2, how your unused vacation and sick time gets paid out. Number 3, when your 401k match fully vests for the year. Number 4, whether any bonus, pension benefit, or stock award vests in the early part of next year. 1 phone call. 4 questions. It could be worth more than any investment you make between now and the day you leave. And then, before you decide which year to retire, look at your most recent tax return, because that's the income figure setting your Medicare premium 2 years from now. If your final working year is going to be high income, know that before it happens. Manage it if you can. Defer what can be deferred. Time what can be timed. Raymond didn't do any of this because he was smarter than Derek. He did it because he and Carol sat at a kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon in October with a cup of coffee and 2 hours, and they asked the questions most people never think to ask. The date Derek picked, September 12th, was a perfectly good reason to retire. His daughter's kids were out of school. He wanted to surprise them. He wanted his first week of freedom to feel like freedom. What it actually felt like by January, when he added up what the timing had cost him, was this: $4,200 in forfeited match, $1,847 in extra taxes on the vacation payout, $847 for the coverage gap, $1,140 for the double deductible, $1,148 in IRMA surcharges, $9,182 in total. For a retirement date, he picked because the grandkids were out of school. Nobody warned him, nobody sat him down, nobody explained that the month that you retire is a financial decision. So here's what I want you to do this week. Just one thing. Call HR and get those 4 dates. That's it. You don't have to decide anything yet. You don't have to move your date. Just know the numbers before the calendar makes the decision for you. Because you worked too long and too hard for a random September to quietly take $9,000 out of your pocket on the way out the door. If this changed how you think about your own retirement date, or if someone you know is getting close to retirement and needs to hear this, share this video with them. And subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing here is financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial professional, tax advisor, and benefit specialist before making any retirement timing decisions. Your situation is unique and individual guidance matters.